Dave, when you play a team 7 times, you beat them 7 times. I presume on the other side, they're saying we can't lose every game to the Edmonton Oilers. So they've got a burr up their rear end to make sure that doesn't happen. Is that how your team is seeing it too? You obviously want to win all 9 games against Ottawa.
Well, you know what you do? You compartmentalize it into one game, and you recognize what they're thinking. They certainly want to get some revenge against us, but for us, it's we're concerned about this game only. And there's things that you can take out of the games where you've had success, but there's also things that you have to recognize. You know, Ottawa's played well lately. I mean, there's things like that come into play. So it's you talk about this game only and how are we going to win this game only, and you don't worry about the ones in the past. But I'm sure they're using the past as motivation, so you have to recognize that.
And what do you want to see from Kyle Turris? He got a couple of games last look. He looked good early, but then he's been back sitting again. So what is it? He says it's got to create more, and he's got to be more consistent. Is that how you see it?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, he's a good offensive player. You watch him in practice. He has good skill, shoots the puck really well. So he's got to bring that end of it. But then there's a competitive end of it too that he knows he can be more consistent at and try to deliver consistent shifts of some battle and checking and that side of it also. So he's looking for that happy balance. He's been better lately, and hopefully he can continue to take a step forward tonight.
Wilkins, 6:30 Chad.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, Dave.
Morning.
The trade deadline is Monday. As a coach, do you ever have to manage any nerves or anxiety in a group that you might sense as the deadline approaches, or do you sense any?
No, there's very little anxiety with our group. We've had a similar group all year. It's not like a regular year where we're carrying 29 players on our roster as right now. So it's not like a regular year where you think you're going to add a bunch of people or anything. It's our group. There's no anxiety. There hasn't been a lot of talk about it. So we're worried about the game tonight and playing well and getting our game, continue to improve our game, and hopefully we can get a playoff spot and go from there. So there's not a lot of anxiety with the trade deadline looming with our team.
Okay, and back-to-back games, can you give us a hint as to who might be the goalies the next 2 games?
We've got 2 of them, and they'll each play one.
Who plays today?
Koskinen today.
Steve Wino, Associated Press.
Hey, Dave, I got another anxiety question for you. In another situation, are you concerned at all as a team about that? And have you gotten a chance as a 59-year-old guy to get vaccinated at all?
No, I haven't had a chance to get vaccinated yet. And your team is always concerned about the situations, and we've been concerned since the start of the year. And that concern is really we've made sure that we're following all the protocols. The new memo came out the other day. We had our team doctor make sure he went through everything with our players again, which we've done numerous times this year, just to make sure everybody is up to date on protocols and following the right things. So you can, you can make sure you stay vigilant on it, and you never know what happens. But ultimately, if we want to try to keep the virus out if we can, if all possible, and so you recognize when other teams are going through it, you want to try to do whatever you can to stay away from it. But it's concern maybe is the wrong word, but it's you're very cognizant of what's going on, and you make sure you're doing your part to try to keep it out.
Thank you. Jason Gregor, TSN 1260.
Dave, this year maybe more than others, we've seen it in every division. Some teams just have the other team's number for whatever reason. Some lower in the standings have beaten top teams and vice versa. When you look at Ottawa, why has your team had so much success? Is it obviously your top guys have gotten going? Is it just that simple that your top guys Ottawa doesn't have an answer for so far?
You know what, you look back at the games. There were some games where you know, I don't think their goaltending was as good as they'd like. There's a couple games we got some lead there, but there's been some close games that our goaltenders played very well. Like Koskinen played really well in here. I think they had over 40 shots in here last time we were here, and Koski played really well for us. So it's you know, I don't know if there's anything to it. We've found ways to win games, and that's the way we're looking at this one tonight. We're not saying, okay, we've played well against these guys and won. We got to figure out how we're going to win again tonight. So that's what we're looking at.
So Turris and Koskinen are in any other lineup changes?
No.
Thanks.
Jim Matheson.
When you play a team like Ottawa, which has so many young players, is that, I guess the young players on Ottawa, you know, play with lots of energy. They don't have a lot of older players on their team. Does it make it a difference when you play a team with so many young players trying to find their way in the NHL?
I don't know if it's, I don't look at it as young players or old players. You look at how they play, and you know, they're a team with strong work ethic. They come at you hard. They want to pressure you. So, you know, I'm sure they expect that whether it's an older player or a younger player. So it's more the team identity you look at rather than young and old. And, you know, so you prepare accordingly that way. You prepare that they're gonna work. So you better be ready to work. We
I have a
better.
question about Brady Tkachuk. Does he play anything like his brother Matthew? It seems to be he's a little different than Matthew, who's always trying to be a disturber in the game, and Brady plays a little different.
Well, they're both good power forwards. You know, that's what they do. They go to the net hard. They compete hard. You know, they both remind me of their dad. Their dad competed hard. He was a hard guy to play against, and that's both of them are out of the same vein.
Ryan Rashog, TSN.
Dave, if there's one thing that you know have to be ready for with the Sens, it's like you said, an energetic bunch that'll maybe push you a bit physically. You guys have had lots of success against them. Do you like what games against Ottawa have brought out in your group, just from a compete and being ready for that kind of game standpoint?
Well, you hope your team's ready no matter what kind of game you're thinking of, you know, but it does, you know, from a coaching standpoint, it's pretty plain and simple. They're going to work hard. If we don't work, you know, they're going to get an advantage. So that's a pretty plain when you lay on your table. The first thing you talk about is we better bring the work ethic because you know that they're gonna, and that's an identity they've established. And when you play against Ottawa, I mean, ideally you want to work hard every night, but there's certain traits that teams have that you got to make sure you bring bring to the table when you play against them. And you know, Ottawa is a team that's got a very hard-working group, so you got to be ready to work.